That model up there
Yeah.
is a TR-1B, which is what the U-2 was called at the time. Then they went back to calling it the U-2 later. Tactical Reconnaissance 1 Bravo. Anyway, I flew that up to classified altitudes in a spacesuit. I had to, get fitted for a pressure suit that was just, the orange pumpkin one, like the ones that the space shuttle guys flew in initially. And then had to do a rapid decompression to 85,000 feet in the altitude chamber, just to see why it's so important to have your big turnbuckle that holds the helmet ring down. Otherwise, the suit inflates and your helmet's up here and you can't see. So that was very exciting. I would say that the U-2 is probably the most pilot demanding aircraft I ever flew.
Really?
It was no autopilot at the time. It was all manual controls. And at altitude, with at least by the point we had the TR-1B, you had a much wider margin between stall and Mach critical. But at altitude, the original U-2 only had 7 knots between stall speed and Mach critical. And either one would result in the airplane coming apart. If you stalled, the nose would pitch down so abruptly in the thin air, you could not pull it back out before it would go through Mach critical, because it would just accelerate like a glider or any airplane that pitches down during stall. If you went through Mach critical by going too fast, the entire empennage, the vertical and horizontal tails, would break off the airplane, and it would be out of control, and you hope you could eject from it satisfactorily. Now, when I flew it, we had that window had been opened up to 15 knots, but there was no auto throttle, no autopilot, so you had to manually be on top of the airplane at all times when you're on condition at the highest altitudes. But the view was amazing when you could take a moment to look around, because you could actually see the curvature of the earth, the blackness of space, and you're up there where you can see that thin layer of atmosphere below you. And it was a thrilling experience. But landing that thing, you had to land it like a tail dragger, and of course the little wheels that stabilize the wingtips, they come off from takeoff, so now you got to fly the wing and not let it dig in. So doing touch and goes was very challenging. You couldn't just cob the throttle up like you can with a fighter. You had to bring it up a certain amount, watch the turbine inlet temperature. When it catches up, then you can do some more. And so you're flying and you're doing this big yoke. It was actually the same yoke that's in a 707 airliner, or the KC-135. Big yoke, because you're flying by wire, not like the F-16 flies by wire, not electrical wire, piano cables, just steel cables, and you don't have any hydraulics or anything to assist you. But, it was so overpowered on takeoff that during takeoff roll, you got airborne very quickly, and then you just pulled up to 60 degrees and climbed to 60 degrees. You've probably seen that before with U-2s that fly in the UK. And then after that experience, I guess I had done very well. I mean, I got the landings on real good, and of course they were watching me closely. Then a team came down for about maybe 4 or 5 people from the SR-71 down to Edwards and sat down and said, we would like to have you come be our lead test guy and aerospace engineer with test pilot school education to not only fly the SR-71, but to help the rest of our guys understand better the uniqueness of it. And I thought, wow, that'd be really cool. But then I thought that would trap me basically in the reconnaissance community. And then what happens after that? I knew the airplane was getting old and they'd probably retire at some point. Of course they did.